Singapore today is one of the wealthiest countries in the world, gained the reputation as one of the 4 Asian tigers because of strong stance, particularly in finances. There is much of what can connect this part of the world to Central Asia and its biggest economy, which is Kazakhstan. This is the reporter of its president's special project on Silkway TV channel. These days we are in Singapore to know in details what will bilateral cooperation look like in the nearest future. Let's get started. First ever state visit of the President of Kazakhstan to Singapore starts at the official residence of the President Shanmugaratnam, the 9th head of state of Singapore, who was elected September last year. Today is the special day. Kazakh President will be welcomed by Singaporean leader and then also by newly appointed Prime Minister of the country. Our TV crew is inside the building, filming last-minute preparations. This is the official residence of the President of Singapore, at the starting point of the state visit of the President of Kazakhstan, Tokayev, to Singapore. Welcoming ceremony is about to start here in the yard of the residence, and then leaders of 2 countries will proceed to the bilateral meetings. Now the ceremonial part begins. A short welcome in the yard is continued by the performance of the national anthems of 2 states. A tone for the fruitful discussions was set. In talks with President Shanmugaratnam, Tokayev positively assesses the dynamics of economic cooperation between Kazakhstan and Singapore, focusing on perspectives of boosting partnership in prioritized sectors like energy, IT, logistics and education. Talking to Lawrence Wong, 4th Prime Minister of the country, President Tokayev emphasizes that Singapore is a strategic partner of Kazakhstan in Southeast Asia, praising the long-standing partnership between 2 nations. Diplomatic relations between Kazakhstan and Singapore established on March 1993. Singapore is one of the key investment partners of Kazakhstan. Interestingly, but in this country, Kazakh President Tokayev started his career in diplomacy. But the real breakthrough, though, in political dialogue was the first ever state visit of the 8th President of Singapore, Halimah Jacob, to Kazakhstan last year.
When President Halimah was there, and even I came back after quite a while, I think people are fully aware what's the great part about the region, your people, your hospitality, and they see through your how you hosted us, through your meals, your events and all that. I think it's something that people do watch. They are quite impressed by it, and I'm sure more and more people become interested, make trips there and learn more about it.
Speaking with the language of numbers, Kazakhstan and Singapore demonstrate positive growth, specifically in trade. Trade turnover in 2023 amounted to $1.8 billion. Singapore has invested in Kazakhstan more than $1 billion. There is much what 2 sides can do about it. The interest and demand are both there. Businessmen from Kazakhstan and Singapore have overcome even language barriers, searching for opportunities, talking to each other, using digital translation tools. To find common grounds is very important when doing business. That is why the Kazakh-Singapore Business Forum is organized. In his speech, the head of state notes that Kazakhstan is a country with Singapore-style economic reforms, with huge untapped opportunities and a dynamically developing economy which focuses on promoting connectivity on the global arena. Logistics is a big part of this concept. What is the main goals and tasks you are now looking forward to?
So I think the biggest opportunity that we're now studying is actually a transportation hub in the Almaty city agglomeration.
Yes.
So actually it's along the Almaty bypass, which is being constructed right now. There's one project to build a pretty big logistics center along the Almaty bypass. So this is what our JV is now focused on, and this is what we're actively studying. It will increase the cargo throughput So I think last year we had a record of 1.289 million TEUs that went through Kazakhstan. We do definitely hope that some of the volume that now goes through Singapore is actually going to be diverted through an alternative route, the Middle Corridor.
And thank you for your attention.
Singapore Kazakhstan Business Forum is underway. As you can see, President Tokayev has just finished his speech in front of the participants of the forum, introducing Kazakhstan as one of the biggest economies in Central Asia. The forum results in signing commercial and investment agreements, as well as a number of memorandums of understanding. One is with Singaporean global DTC company that focuses on digitalization of trade corridors. In Kazakhstan's case, it's Middle Corridor, a transport route that connects China to Europe via Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Turkey.
One of the projects that we have been working very closely with KTZ Express, we have actually launched it live. So for cargo coming from China to Uzbekistan through Altenkhor, all the transit declaration actually is on our system. So that makes it very efficient, very transparent for the goods to flow. Instead of taking hours, which was used to be the case, right? Now it takes about 30 minutes, right? So that is something very concrete, very specific, something very real that we have reported to His Excellency President Tokayev. We started with the Southern Corridor to Uzbekistan. We are working with our colleagues in KTZ Express to launch it for the Middle Corridor, which is to the Caspian Sea, then to Azerbaijan and Georgia, and also to the Northern Corridor, which is through Russia and Belarus.
After Business Forum, President of Kazakhstan proceeds to the bilateral meetings with the heads of the biggest Singaporean and Asian corporations, like, for example, Temasek Holdings, Asia's biggest investing company. Right after the meeting, we asked the CEO of the company, Dilhan Pillay, about the areas of mutual interest.
It was a good meeting. Your president very open, and we appreciated his questions. And it looks as though he's very focused on foreign investment in Kazakhstan. And some of our companies are already in Kazakhstan, so it is a good way for me to find out more. And I look forward to seeing what other opportunities there could be.
But overall, are you satisfied with the meeting? And so what kind of projections do you have so far?
So I appreciate the president's outreach to us to have a meeting, and it's given me some food for thought. So I'll go back and have a discussion with my companies and my colleagues and see what we can think about.
So perspectives are very positive.
I would say that he's given us food for thought to consider. And Central Asia has always been an area that we have not historically been involved in, so we can't say that we're as familiar as, say, the folks from Middle East, whether from UAE or Saudi Arabia and elsewhere. But perhaps we should think more broadly, especially now with climate change.
Singapore and Kazakhstan are about to start implementing ambitious infrastructure project, which the head of state calls a Singapore of Central Asia, a leading international business hub in Almaty region that will help to attract foreign capital and boost tourism in Kazakhstan. The master plan of Almaty City project was presented to the president by Singaporean Subana Jurong company. We were lucky enough to know further details.
Well, I think we share with the president our views to make Almaty City a successful and a very vibrant economic hub, not just for Kazakhstan, but also for Central Asia. So there were a couple of new ideas given to the president, such as opening up the cooperation to include other countries besides just Singapore, as well as to look at developing iconic projects along Kapchikai Lake.
We also knew the details of acquisition of one of the national air companies of Kazakhstan to Sovico Group, major shareholder and founder of Vietjet Air. A binding agreement was signed in the presence of the head of state, Sovico Group, and Samruk Kazina, Kazakhstan's national wealth fund.
Sovico, within next 5 years, as a minimum, will supply 20 aircrafts, Boeing or Airbus aircrafts, to Kazakhstan as a minimum. And according to the plan, they should supply 50 aircrafts. So we can firmly tell that the amount of foreign direct investments is more than 1 billion US dollars.
What it will open for the Kazakh market, for the aviation market in Kazakhstan, in Central Asia maybe?
It's very important for aviation market of Kazakhstan because it will be a third big player on the market. The more players there on the market, the higher the competition. The higher the competition, the better the service, cheaper the tickets. So basically, we hope that the competition will increase and it will be to the benefit of the people of Kazakhstan. They will receive a better service and potentially cheaper tickets.
Political dialogue is very important too. The second day of the state visit, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev delivers a public lecture in front of political and scientific circles of the Lion City. Being a first Central Asian leader who gives a public lecture in Singapore, President Tokayev conveys key political message about ultimate necessity of the global dialogue. Was Kazakhstan and Singapore, being perfect examples of the middle powers in the global world order, should keep concentrating their efforts in promoting this important message. Jacob Ibrahim, former minister in charge of cybersecurity of Singapore and now professor at Institute of Technology, adds that two countries are looking forward for more options of securing people-to-people contacts.
The theme is very actual. Middle powers, Kazakhstan and Singapore. You've asked your question. Are you happy with the answer you got from the president?
Definitely. I think, first of all, I must congratulate the president for giving an excellent speech. I thought the speech was well covered, covering different areas, and also spoke about how small countries or middle powers like Singapore and Kazakh can work together for global peace. I think that's a very powerful message. So I really asked him about what we can do more in terms of people-to-people exchange, because Kazakh is a very young country, young people. Singapore is not so young, but I think the people-to-people exchange will be very useful. He agreed with me, and he said these are the things that we should be working together. I told him I was in Kazakhstan in January, in the middle of winter. It was a bit cold, but I told the warmth of the people came through. I met so many young people. I went to the Astana, I went to Almaty. I was able to understand the aspirations of young Kazakh. They want to develop, they want to learn. I think that energy is useful for us also in Singapore.
The official agenda is very busy. Next location is the Kazakh-Singaporean Rectors Forum, welcoming scientists and students of leading Singaporean and Kazakh universities. Kassym-Jomart Tokayev notes that development of education and science is one of the key priorities of the state policy of Kazakhstan.
Today's forum represents an important milestone in our cooperation. It strives to bring Kazakhstan-Singapore interaction in the fields of education and research to even higher level. Yesterday, I had very substantive and engaging talks with President and Prime Minister of Singapore on a wide range of issues of bilateral cooperation, including science, education, and people-to-people contacts. Kazakhstan's transition towards more transparent and sustainable market economy requires vibrant, resilient educational standards and digital transformation.
Kazakhstan will send more researchers and scientists to Singapore. According to the president, during the existence of the state Bolashak program, more than 12,000 Kazakh students have had the opportunity to study at the best universities in the world, 72 of them in Singapore.
Second agreement is between NUS, NTU, two leading Singaporean universities, and Bolashak Scholarship Program. So we want to increase number of Bolashak scholars. We focus on research, using the Research Fellowship Program launched by President Tokayev 3 years ago. And third agreement would be between East Kazakhstan Technical University and Singaporean Polytechnic, which is in the sphere of vocational training. So we're adding another dimension, vocational training. Singapore is well known for its technical vocational training, Temasek Polytechnic, Singapore Polytechnic.
What about making Kazakhstan educational and research center for this part of the world? What kind of work is done here as well?
Yes. So yes, our president, His Excellency Tokayev, during his meeting with Singaporean president, mentioned that it should be a reciprocal approach. So we should engage academic mobility programs by inviting Singaporean students to come to Kazakhstan. So we'll allocate some academic mobility scholarships to Singaporean students so that they could enjoy exchange programs.
Overall, during state visit of the President Tokayev to Singapore, 6 interstate and interdepartmental documents were signed, including memorandums of understanding between governments of 2 countries and its key ministries. The ultimate goal is to boost economic activity of 2 rapidly growing regions of Asia.
More intentions on economic cooperation that can enable even closer relations between 2 countries and 2 regions will be promoted further by the leadership of Kazakhstan and Singapore. The notion is of particular importance in modern, challenging geopolitical environment. That's it for today. See you next time.